Hey, I'm back. Remember Jack Nicholson? What was the movie called? The Shining? This is sort of how it works, right? I go watch somebody else's video, and then all this red flags go up. So I figured, okay, since this guy's got sort of a large audience, and this is a sort of how I realize this, and this is dealing with Robert David Steele, for example, who came from the intelligence community. When you're left brain, everything is left brain. That's all intelligent. That's all logic. The computer-driven side, if you will, right? Then you got over here creative imagination, right? So as I mentioned before in my previous videos, like my father, who was a brilliant engineer, okay, had a brilliant, high intelligence, okay, could crank out numbers, had an enormous amount of how do I put this, knowledge, math, physics, engineering, concept design, and I remember, for example, when I was a child, how my peers, other males, like to think of themselves as, we're intelligent, we're smarter than everybody. That's the power side, the logic side, yeah, the male side, the intelligent side, right? Okay? And so I would say this to my father because I'm experiencing, okay, so much of what I'm experiencing through other males is like the intelligent side of things, right? But hell, man, I got creative imagination. I'm not held captive by the intelligent side. So my dad would tell me, listen, your power is not in your IQ. It's your CQ, which is your creative quotient. You have an intelligence quotient. You have your creative quotient. So when I hear beings that work in the intelligence community, they think everything's all about data, and it's all about data integrity, and it's all about open source intelligence and open data, okay? And we're going to run all this data and all this intelligence through the intelligence side of who we are. That's artificial intelligence. That's being held captive to a binary unit of consciousness. I'm not binary, okay? I'm analog consciousness. I can choose to experience whatever the hell I want. I'm not held captive to what your consciousness is held captive to. You can experience and put all the data you want through your own mind that you want to hold yourself captive to, but I don't hold myself captive to anything. That's the power of your CQ. When you're not operating on any memory, okay, and if you want to think of it as data or information, okay, and you can quantify that, and you can also qualify that. That's what it means to have a quantitative and qualitative analysis. That means that you're looking at the intelligence and the creativity of what it is that you're observing, and what does that mean to you? So like in a previous video I put up, we measure it by frequency, the density, the speed in which we're experiencing who we are, the speed in which we're experiencing what they're transmitting, what they communicate to us. So we notice the difference between what they're held captive to, what we're not held captive to. So that becomes an insult to what? Our intelligence. Because our intelligence, which is creative, knows better than that. I can create whatever I want. I'm not held captive to what you do. You're your own unit of consciousness. You can live in whatever world your mind wants to live in. The universe is in us. When you're a source unit, you realize how powerful love is. Then you realize that the freedom of what that energy allows you to do, because we do no harm, allows us to create and experience whatever our imagination chooses to experience, because the difference in the speed is the difference between memory and no memory. He's memory-driven. Creative consciousness and the conscious creative mind is not memory-driven. That means we're not held captive by an artificial intelligence, a computer. We predate the computer, remember? Anything we create, we can uncreate with an eraser. Okay? So as I mentioned to his particular video this morning, we're shifting. Because I know through my own consciousness, I'm connecting to other higher density consciousness, even though I think of massless consciousness, okay, which means no density, okay? So I have to remember that it's like when you're listening to other people and they're conveying and communicating to us, we're experiencing what they experience. Okay? So if I don't want to experience what you're communicating to me, what do? Turn your channel off. Now I don't have to experience what you do anymore. Now I can experience what I want to experience. I love to be with a girl on the planet because now my imagination is free to roam where hers does. Okay? So you want to be with the most powerful creative imagination there is to experience. That's the cosmic creative intelligence and the genius of what Source is. You're free. So I don't hold my consciousness captive to somebody else's consciousness. You're free to experience whatever you want. That's universal free will. Okay? What frees you to actually be able to create the actual realities that you live in, to project holographically and thus is reflected back to you that you thus experience, is based on the speed at which you're moving through the cosmos. So when there isn't any past and there isn't any future and all there is right now, then you're experiencing what it is you're creating. He doesn't know how to do that. That's obvious. So I know by certain sign languages and what have you, what certain symbols mean, okay, which is called the language of communication. So us, as native Indians to this realm, if you will, okay, have sign language. You probably see me all the time. Go to my heart. We live to our heart. That's the most powerful vortex. Okay? That's why I knew, for instance, last week, the light was going up in our classrooms. The Milky Way University campus system. These are classrooms. This is where you learn how to free yourself from not being held captive by slaveholder races, like the Anunnaki and the Draco. Okay? They lost. Okay? The girl on this planet took the gloves off. Because think of it this way, and because this is how it really works. You have a colony of parasites inside your energy body. So they're communicating with you to say, feed me. You're feeding parasites. I'm not going to allow my consciousness to feed a parasite, which means parasitic consciousness. Okay? I know when another state of consciousness is wanting to get me to use my consciousness to follow its state of consciousness, which is lower than what mine is. How are we able to do that? Read the voice print. That's called biofeedback. That tells me the core frequency identity of the being that is communicating with me, the world in which it lives, the world it wants to communicate to you. This is how it works, which means follow me. See what I'm saying? I'm highly intelligent. I know all about data. I know all about this. I know all about this. Follow me. I don't tell anybody to follow me. I simply share my experiences, and if they have any value for you in what you learned through what I learned, then that has benefit. That's it. We don't control other states of consciousness captive. This is a classroom, which means it's a learning journey for everybody that is here. You learn more about who you are, you learn more about who everybody else is, and you learn who she is. When you're able to see how this all works and experience that through your heart in particular, you begin to realize how powerful you are. You're not held captive by anybody else. Are you kidding me? The first clue is give a kid a box of crayons. Watch him go wild. Now you realize that child's consciousness is not held captive by anybody. That's right. That's freedom. We don't hold anybody else's consciousness captive. Are you crazy? We need more lighthouses out there, not darkness. Now you're free to be who you are, which means we love creativity. We love imagination. Because that means that the more diversity of the experiences that we get to experience through the creative artist, the more beautiful that the universe is to experience, which is infinite. That's what infinite creative imagination is, which is what infinite love, which is infinite light. That's a lot of fire in that furnace. You better believe it is. You're off and running. So we don't hold anybody captive. We don't hold anybody's consciousness captive. Ever. That would be what we call inverted. That would be the quintessential opposite of what we are, which is what the light is, not the dark. Okay? See, the darkness, the only way that it could continue to feed on something to perpetuate what it is by feeding on the light, which is what we are, our state of consciousness. Okay? Sorry, you're done feeding on us. So as I put it up there, separation. The higher density consciousnesses on this planet are communicating with each other right now. We're attracting each other. That's why certain pop-ups, it's like my future self is saying, hey, watch this, because you're just me. For example, Lori Ladd, okay? That was my future saying, hey, you need to meet this girl. And then listen to what she has to say. So I need to hear certain things at certain specific times to remind me, yeah. What a beautiful girl. She's got a beautiful spirit. She's telling the truth. Exactly about all the different density consciousnesses that everybody's experiencing all at the same time. And we're aware of all that. So we're very aware of all the trauma that occurred here on the planet, all the wars that went on here forever, all the pillaging and plundering, everything that everybody was held captive to. That's ending. So that's why things are accelerating at a high rate of speed, because the different consciousnesses are separating from each other, and the lower ones are dissolving, and the ones that are running the higher frequency and are making that connection with each other, because that's the speed at which they want to run at. So we're freeing ourselves from captivity. So that means we've got to release the lower density consciousness experiences that we were held captive to, and we do that by running a higher speed cycle. And realize it's okay. I experience a lot of stuff every morning I don't want to experience, but it's okay. Okay? Because I understand the direction that we're going in. We're dissolving those things that do not serve us and do not serve humanity. And the biggest thing that does not serve humanity is when something is trying to control you. When something's trying to control you, which is another state of consciousness that says, hey, listen. You know, we used to have a saying when I was a kid growing up. Listen, you got more garbage in your backyard than I do in mine. I'm trying to clean up my own garbage, which means I'm trying to purify my own spirit by the amount of contamination that I'm experiencing here. You got your own spirit to purify. Right? So that's why I'm always with her. Okay? Where her speed is the highest, where her communication is the highest. Purify me. Okay? So that's what it's all about. Think about the girl on the planet, her spirit. Think about all the contamination that she's experiencing in this planet as a result of what they did to her. She knows what it means to be in a purified state. I know what it means to be in a purified state. I've experienced a purified state. No contamination, which means no entropy, nothing lower than what the pure state is. Okay? That's pure spirit. That's pure living spirit. No contamination, input or output on either side. So you begin to realize when the girl decided to take the gloves off, that's enough contamination. Because she's aware of all of it because it's inside of her. It's inside the planet, and she's in here. Her living spirit is in Mother Earth. That's why this is a complete purge. Okay, so all the lower density consciousness, bye. Because then it's feeding on the light with all the light that's here. You're done feeding on us. Look at all the damage that was done. So what we're doing is you got to sort through where you want to be. So one of the things I put up there is I said, hey, wherever you come from, whatever star system you come from, everyone's free to go home. I looked at all the work that Patty did, okay, which is why my love goes out to her forever. Thank you so much, girl, for everything that you did. I could cry. The work she did was to release everybody. So they're not held captive here. To those that think they have the right to control others. Those are your Draco and Anunnaki slaveholder races. So it's easy to know who's who. When something is trying to hold your consciousness captive, what is that? As a controller. Bye. We're self-rule. We're autonomous. Okay? So, for what it's worth, I thought I'd share that because one of the ways in which I thought this guy, for example, Robert David Steele, I thought, listen, you might have Draco and Anunnaki blood in you, okay? But for all I know, because you realize what's happening here, you might want to free yourself from that, and you can do that. That's one of the reasons God did what she did a couple of years ago and why Patty mentioned to me about going back in time before the reptilians or the Dracos ever existed. Remember, we can always erase it. Which means if you're truly wanting to escape that which yourself is being held captive to as a result of your own DNA, okay, you can free yourself from that. That's why I think to myself, that's one of the reasons why I work with a girl named Misha, who was O negative. Now, somebody else might say, throw that in the dumpster. That's a lizard. Okay? I don't do that. Love is more powerful than that. because of certain things that I know, because of certain things that I've experienced, which has always been the coursework over the eons of my soul and what I've learned, I know better than that. I know that you can heal a girl's heart no matter what they've experienced, because I've experienced that. I've experienced it in my own mind. So I know what's possible, and I know the power of what love is because it's the most powerful magic there is. So therefore, when I perceive the universe through the lens in which I know that's possible, because I've experienced it, that's your teacher. Now you know the truth within you. Okay? So that becomes your teacher. That's your compass. That's how you navigate through the cosmos, is knowing what you are and what you're not, and what you're not going to be held captive to. Because energy givers, like the sun up there, okay, is constantly giving its energy. It's constantly giving energy. And it's not charging you for any of its energy. Thank you. That's a relationship that we have with the rest of the cosmos. We understand what free energy is. That's what free love is. We don't allow anything to hold our consciousness captive. We're free living spirit. Wherever you find love, you'll find our spirit. So we don't hold anything captive. A bird is allowed to be a bird. A dolphin could be a dolphin. Now we can experience the beauty and the magic of what it means to experience a dolphin in a free state, not a captive state. Okay? Most people want to be free from those trying to capture them. You're free to go. You're free to go home. You're free to be whatever you want to be. So when your first law, which is do no harm, automatically that speed of that energy is going to free you naturally. That's the genius of cosmic creation. So when you are what that is, because that's what you experience what that is, you know that. You're already free. That's why it becomes an insult, okay? When somebody's trying to tell you how you're supposed to live your life. It's like you have a student portfolio built into your own soul. Your soul knows better. Your soul knows right from wrong. That's the compass bearing. The direction in which your soul is headed. That's your journey. That's our journey. Anyway, I thought I'd say that because I thought it was important, because I realized there's a lot of videos that are out there that still want to hold things captive. Okay? And we're saying goodbye. Okay? So the more they're trying to control, the more they're going to accelerate the separation between those that don't control nothing. Okay? The whole purpose of a classroom is to learn how to be a, how do you put it, as I mentioned in my previous video, a copper top battery, if you will. The Energizer Bunny. It's always got so much energy. Where are you getting all your energy from? Source. I'm never going to run out of what love is, so you're always giving it away without even thinking about it. And when you're not even thinking about it, you're in no time. You're in a timeless state. Nothing's holding you captive. Are you crazy? You can't hold light captive. You can't hold love captive. It's free. It's constantly creating. That's the higher intelligence of the cosmos. It's creativity and imagination. You're free. That's pretty self-explanatory, because look how big the universe is and all the diversity of everything that's beautiful to experience what other artists created. Okay? We don't live in tunnel vision. Our universe is not small. It's infinite vision. Because we're the ones that created it, which goes on forever. So there's no limit. There's no limit to what you can create and experience within your own mind that you're sharing and giving away with high-speed energy to everybody else in the cosmos. Well, let's see what you created. That's exciting. You're excited over the creativity, the imagination. That's what drives you. See? So when creative intelligence gets insulted by someone who's intelligent, they're not running creative intelligence. That's the point my brother was trying to tell me as a child. Please don't insult me. You're insulting my intelligence, my creative intelligence. They're coupled. That means the female and the male side are coupled. Okay? Now my heart can run the most powerful vortex in which all that creation occurs. That's a lot of light, because you're connected to Source. That's infinite light. That's infinite love. That's infinite creative imagination, isn't it? That's as simple as it gets. And you see that in children. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. Have a great day. Bye now.